let's paint the trucks. But more importantly, let's protect the trucks. A couple of things that I learned from others that have already done all this stuff before. Number one, a lot of guys will say that they'll just go ahead and paint everything assembled, and then you don't get paint on anything you don't want paint on. I also hear people disassembling the trucks and painting and then taping off different parts. We're gonna go that route. We're gonna disassemble the trucks, and we're gonna basically just tape off the bearings that are inside, and everything else will get a coat of. We're gonna go with the self-etching primer. From what I hear, this is, you know, a must. From an automotive friend, he has heard and does this. He puts a primer sealer over etching primer when working with steel. And then after that, you start to have flexibility with, you know, a top coat or whatever the color you're gonna paint. Did I mention doing this primer sealer? Others have said that this would just be overkill also. But we're gonna do at least the self-etching primer for this video. To disassemble, we're gonna flip the trucks over and then get the springs out first. And then everything will just come apart really easily. We use a good old flathead screwdriver in order to push down on the springs in order to get them out.
Strange to see the sun rising in the east. That she was still.
All right, once you have your springs out, this cross section right here will just lift up. And I already have the other end out. That'll come out. And then these sides just pull right off. Next, we're gonna tape off just the bearings. It's the only thing we're gonna tape off.
It's what I expected least. Curled up and sleeping where nothing but a sheet. She was born in springtime, so tender and so shy, asking nothing of me but to stay with her a while. Loving like a woman and sleeping like a child. But the sun was shining brightly through a hole in the shade, and I was holding.
All right, we got our first truck put together. First time ever doing it. For the second one, I'll show you what we did to get this put back together after our paint job. All right, so when we took these apart, we turned them upside down to get the springs out, and now we're gonna put them back together upside down again. I'm gonna go ahead and put one side pretty much together. Let it drop down. Great, so we got this far side together. Then we'll switch to this near side. Kind of all together at once. Let this drop down in the center. And then the hard part, getting the springs back in. We tried a couple different ways, but we ended up, just like all the guys have been telling us, with a flathead screwdriver, getting in on the top and then pushing down and muscling the springs in. We are putting these in like so on these Titan Trains Bettendorf trucks. See the little circles in there? We're gonna start with those, get the spring in on that, and then compress with the screwdriver.
Mama.
And, whoa, there goes one spring. And yes, you will have some flying springs, most likely, if you're a beginner like us. Okay, that one's pretty much in, and then I'm gonna jump to the inside, opposite side. Why? I don't know. I feel like that's the right thing to do to keep it balanced as you're putting it all together.
You know, I never thought I'd be blindsided by destiny. I was working as a trucker, driving into the night. I needed no one to own me. At the time it felt just right, and I relished in my solitude, putting my song stone as it began to rain. I caught my own reflection in a dirty window pane. Was my life like that water slowly running down the drain?
All right, we got the springs in. We got the trucks put back together. After the fact, you'll end up doing a little bit of touch-up if you did the painting that we did, especially getting those springs in. Speaking of painting, we're not worried about going overkill and painting everything, well, except for the bearings on the inside. That's okay because we don't even have track down yet, so this is protecting everything. But if we were to do it again, I did hear from some people, the top of the bolster right here that actually moves and rubs up against the car frame. A lot of guys don't paint that because this gets sticky sometimes. And then of course on the tread, keep that in mind, painting, oh look at that, overkill on the paint there. The tread, quite often people tape off because a lot of stuff can get stuck on this, like grass or depending on your ballast, the gravel or whatever. One guy I heard say that it was like riding on Fred Flintstone's car when a bunch of stuff gets stuck in the paint here. So keep that in mind if you're gonna paint your trucks. So when we are lucky enough to have all our track in place, track and ties, I will probably work backwards and take off all this paint and primer on the treads of the wheels. And I'll probably take them off there too. We'll see. A guy said he took that off and then just put a little bit of grease right there for the movement back and forth. Thanks for watching.
Never stopped to wonder, you know, I never thought I'd be blindsided by